Okay, so it's week 3 of Bio 1140, and I'm kind of going live here, but I'm just going to post this so everybody can see it. So last week we had a digital literacy assignment, and we looked at the food babe, and we looked at Scientific American and see, is organic food a scam or is it actually worth it? And well, 74% of the class correctly chose, Scientific American as being um, scientifically accurate over the food babe. That's right. But that means that 26% of the class didn't recognize a legitimate source like Scientific American. So the point is about that assignment is, eating organic food versus conventionally grown food doesn't really affect your health at all. In fact, well, there's no effect on it. Organically grown food and conventional food both have good nutrition. And at least with conventionally grown food, we know about the pesticides used in it. Now, a lot of people are worried about pesticide residues in their food. There's one really important thing you need to know. It's the dose that makes the toxin, or the dose that makes it poisonous or toxic to us. So we can look at foods and we can identify all kinds of pesticide residues in there, and we can do the same with organic foods as well. But in small amounts, these things are not bad for us. And to give you a perfect example of what I mean by that, water. We have to drink water. But if I gave you 3 gallons of water and said, go drink that in the next hour, you could actually die of something called hyponatremia. So even water can become deadly if you have too much of it. And the same goes for pesticides. Just because you can detect pesticides on conventionally grown food and organically grown food as well does not mean they're at levels that are harmful to your health. So that being said, the most important thing when it comes to being healthy is to go eat fresh fruits and vegetables. Have that plant-based diet and avoid a lot of processed foods. And it really doesn't matter if you're buying organic or conventionally grown food to be healthy. Okay, now let's move on to week 3. Now, I really like week 3. This answers some questions like, where did we come from? So last week we talked about the origin of life, but with the beginnings of week 3, we start talking about the origins of the universe and the origins of the elements. And the point here that's really exciting to me is that, we're stardust. The elements, carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen, those were formed inside of stars that lived and died billions of years ago. And we're the remnants of those stars. And I just find that utterly fascinating and exciting to think about. Like, the carbon atoms in me are billions of years old. And those atoms go on to make molecules, and molecules, of course, are more complex and diverse than the atoms, and molecules go on to make life. So in this chapter, what we're talking about are the ingredients of life. So we discuss atomic structure, how protons and neutrons and electrons come together to form the different elements. And then we start talking about how these elements combine to make molecules and compounds. So what you'll really want to start focusing on are the differences between covalent bonds and ionic bonds, and you'll learn about weak hydrogen bonds, which are very important for biology, especially the properties of water. And moving on to the properties of water, water is so important for life. It's not an organic molecule, but water does provide a medium that almost, or basically all of our chemical reactions of life take place in water. So that's why we're water-based organisms, but we're also based on the element carbon as well. And carbon forms the backbone, at least, of all of our organic molecules. So chapter 3 and 4, which we'll do starting in 2 weeks, start to give people a lot of problems with these chapters because we don't have a lot of chemistry background. So I've got some videos up there for you guys. I've also got some practice problems to help you work through this, and other resources you can use to help out our Khan Academy and Crash Course. Those are excellent resources on the web, and also the Wikipedia to help you really start to understand covalent bonds and ionic bonds and hydrogen bonds, and why carbon's the element of life, and also understand why water is so important for life as well. Now, when it comes to our science and digital literacy assignment, we're doing something a little different this week. Let me check it out here and pull that up. So course home and week 3. And so what we're going to be looking at now is the artificial sweeteners. Boy, talking about a gray area, right? But a lot of people think that aspartame is really, really bad for you. And a lot of the scientific evidence states that it's kind of not that bad for you. So I've got a couple articles. One is from basically science-based medicine, and the other one is from Mercola.com. So read through those. You're going to have to do a little bit of extra research this week to figure out which one of those is good for you or which one is accurate or not. Be sure to do, like I said, include that extra research in there, and then just write your answer in like a Word file, but then just cut and paste it right into your journal entry. Don't try to upload a docx file or a .pages file. It's easier for me if you don't do that. But I would write them in that because it does do your grammar and spell checking. And I would write them a couple days in advance so you can review them, a couple of times before you submit them and not get dinged on grammar and spelling. Okay, with that being said, have fun for the rest of the weekend, and I will see you next week. And next week, their only assignment that will be due is test 1, which will be 60 minutes timed, and that's it. You'll have one chance at it, which is different from all of your quizzes. So I know a lot of you might try to do this open book, open note, but I'm telling you, people often don't do well when they do that. You'll want to study for that test. Okay, so I will go on live next week, and I will make myself available on Thursday to answer any of your questions that you might have regarding test 1. Okay, have a good week. I'll talk to you later.